Brenda with Vintage Adventurer. Today I've got something different for you. I enjoy ASMR videos on YouTube, and I thought I would start creating some. I've done some natural sound videos of me riding on my bike, but I've been cleaning my office now that I'm semi-retired, and I've been cleaning a lot of the paperwork, and much of this is college term papers. And I thought reading these would surely put somebody to sleep, right? So I just grabbed a random one that I'm going to start out with. And this one was for my undergraduate degree. This one is for the Advertising Design 2 class, paper and photo essay. I had taken quite a few pictures of barn and silo advertisements around the upper Midwest, and I imagine I submitted those with this paper. So I'm going to read this paper to you. It was written in 1987, so May of 87, so it must have been last spring semester. But this one is called Barnside Advertisements, a Fading Icon of the American Culture. Advertising Design 2. The American barn is an icon of agriculture in America. Advertising is an icon of the mass-consuming American society. As mass production of goods grew, so did mass consumption, and thus the need for advertising. Advertising on American barns developed as the population grew mobile with the advent of the train and the automobile. Advertisers took advantage of the large, visible red structures along the train routes and roadways to promote their product or service. The first outdoor advertising of this form appeared on covered bridges around 1800. Clothiers and tobacco companies utilized this medium and were perhaps prompted to use this medium by the signs such as "Walk Your Horse" posted on the outsides of the bridges and the amount of broadsheet posters put up on the insides of bridges. That was from Eric Sloane's book. Barnside advertisements see illustration 1. Okay, let's see what illustration 1 is. Oh, it's from Eric Sloane's wonderful book on bridges or cover bridges. And here he's got a clothing company, some patent medicine, tobacco, Coca-Cola, and I don't know what that says, clothier. Barnside advertisements began when advertisers wandered over the countryside in search of a farmer who would allow them to put their art or a large sign on barnsides or fences in exchange for a few cases of beer, a sack of flour, or whatever the advertiser's product was. In some cases, the advertiser offered to give the barn a fresh coat of paint in exchange for an advertisement on the side of a barn. Advertisers also offered to lease the barnside or even purchase it. This eliminated the need for an advertising agency or middleman between the advertiser and farmer, and provided for a very inexpensive way to promote the product. Tobacco, beer, fertilizers, and flour were perhaps the most popular products to be advertised on barnsides, although patent medicine, tires, Caro syrup, and Burma shave were also promoted by this medium. Many times the product's identity or logo was the most important design element, although readability and the use of non-fading colors were important considerations. In comparison to the creative copywriting and design of outdoor advertising in the late 20th century, barnside advertising did not have catchy, impressive phrases or awe-inspiring images. Barnside advertising was plain and simple, perhaps to match the structure it was painted on. Eric Sloane, in his book Our Vanishing Landscape, states that there is not much information available on the history of barnside advertising. Quote, while Bull Durham tobacco, Mail Parch, Carter's Little Liver Pills, Fletcher's Castoria, Brahma Seltzer and Miles Laboratories gained the first recognition from sides of old barns, it is strange that there are no historical records left of this fact. Sloan, in the mid-1950s, had contacted a person at one of the companies, and the person wrote back, "While the writer has been with the concern for 20 years, he has no information concerning painting on barns done by this company or in the past. He therefore talked to our advertising manager who came with the company 40 years ago. He can neither recall anything about signs on barns. We regret our inability to give you information about an important milestone in our business and in the industry of American advertising." Changes in transportation fueled the movement in Barnside advertising, and ironically contributed to its demise. In 1916, Congress passed a bill to provide federal aid to states for road construction. Barnside advertisements can still be seen along state highways, which were the first roads of interstate travel. The Bill of Federal Interstate National Defense Highway Systems was passed by President Eisenhower in 1956. Most of the interstate highways were not built where the existing state highways were, as the National Defense Highway System shot out to reach point B from point A in the quickest, straightest route. Another automobile factor contributing to the end of Barnside advertising was the advance of engineering technology. People driving the large engine cars of the 1950s sped along the highways and didn't notice the surrounding countryside. Cars during the early 1900s weren't designed for speed, and travelers took notice of any sights along the way. Early road conditions were poor and travel was much slower. According to Donald Bryan, a veteran advertiser and group director of marketing services of Highland Breweries, advertisers in the 1950s felt that Barnside advertising was becoming unsophisticated. As society grew more sophisticated, advertisers wanted their products to reflect this image. The advent of television was a lucrative mass medium for advertisers to promote their products nationally. During the early years of television, advertisers of tobacco products quickly abandoned other forms of advertising for television's mass audience. In addition, rapidly changing technology in printing and graphics influenced advertisers and their methods in media. The 24-poster process billboard rapidly became the leader in outdoor advertising. Concerns about cultural ecology and interest in highway beautification programs also contributed to the end of Barnside advertising. During the 1950s, with the interstate highway systems rapidly developing, governmental agencies and ecologists expressed concerns about visual pollution along the highways. Perhaps this view about cultural ecology can be best expressed by the famous words of Ogden Nash. "I think that I shall never see a billboard lovely as a tree. Perhaps unless the billboards fall, I'll never see a tree at all." Most firms stopped advertising in the 1950s because of the development of the interstates, concerns about cultural ecology, or worries of sophistication. In the book, Barns of Wisconsin, the author says that Barnside advertising was always controversial. People didn't like to see a beautiful barn decorated with a commercial message. The Peavey Company of Minneapolis, Minnesota, actually paid to have its King Midas flower advertising painted over in the early 1950s. Remnants of early Barnside advertising are still visible around the country today. Some Barnside advertisements look as if they were painted 10 or 15 years ago. According to O'Brien, most advertisers have eliminated this method of advertising, and many of these well-preserved Barnside ads face north and have escaped the sun's natural aging process. Barnside advertising is a faded relic of a part of the American culture. Contemporary Barnside advertising is generally limited to the name of a store, campground, or restaurant located on an adjoining property. National product promotion on Barnsides is few and far between. The barn, as a structure of agriculture, is quickly becoming replaced by the steel pole shed. Barnside advertisements and even the barns themselves will perhaps become a memory in a coffee table picture book. The end. Here is my sources consulted. That was a class. I wonder who the class was taught by. I'm guessing it was taught by Dr. Michael Paget. And then here are the essays. Bo's Tire Repairs. That was done by Red Wing. Lila's Idle Hour. I don't know where that was. Mail Pouch. Took that somewhere. Yeah, all these I took. The Beech Nut Tobacco, I think, was up by Osceola. Foxbill Peds was on US 10. So, I hope you enjoyed this reading of the term papers. Again, lots of errors in this. I was just a couple of years, I must have been a sophomore or junior. I took the 6-year plan because I worked. But, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and peace out.